Today we are speaking with Carl Shusterman from the law offices of Carl Shusterman in Los Angeles, California. Carl Shusterman has been practicing immigration law for over 30 years. He has been voted as a super lawyer, one of the best lawyers in America, and is listed in the international who's who of corporate immigration lawyers. His website, shusterman.com, is the most frequented website about immigration law in the United States. Carl Shusterman, thank you for joining us.
It's my pleasure.
We are currently in a recession, and the unemployment rates are incredibly high. How could there be a nursing shortage?
Well, it depends on the geographic area. We represent hospitals in suburban areas that frankly are not suffering from a nursing shortage right now. And on the other hand, we're representing hospitals in rural areas and in inner city areas where typically American nurses are not eager to go, and they have severe nursing shortages.
Now, in terms of filling in these shortages, can't we just build more schools, or the graduates from the schools, can they just attend those?
Yeah, one would think so. I mean, I've been working on this issue for over 25 years, testified before Congress on this issue, and I'm all in favor of educating as many RNs in the U.S. as possible. But look at California, for example. The educational system, because of the budget deficit, is severely underfunded. They're turning away tens of thousands of U.S. citizens from nursing schools because they don't have the instructors to be able to teach them. So it's a terrible problem, and it's really not educating U.S. nurses or bring in foreigners. It's both.
So what are people doing about this? Do you see a change in the regulation?
Well, unfortunately not. I mean, when I testified before the Senate Immigration Subcommittee was in the spring of 2001, they had eliminated a wonderful program, in my view it was a wonderful program, that allowed nurses to come over to the U.S. in a matter of weeks on temporary visas, and then once they were here to work and apply for green cards, which sometimes took a couple of years. In 1995, Congress abandoned the whole temporary visa program for nurses, and now we're 15 years later, and the waiting time for a nurse to get a green card, a nurse born in a foreign country who may have even gone to nursing school in the U.S., been educated here, and got a one-year work permit, as most nurses do when they graduate from nursing school, still has to go back to her country where she may not even have lived since she was a little girl or a little boy, and live there for 7 years before they can come back to the U.S. It's totally an untenable situation.
Now, are there currently any bills in Congress trying to obtain more green cards?
Yeah, there are. Congressman Wexler from Texas has, if I can say it right, it's the Emergency Nurse Shortage Act, or something that sounds pretty much like that. And I noticed, number one, that the committee's not even holding hearings on it, and number two, just a few weeks ago, that Congressman Wexler is going to be retiring from Congress. So it just doesn't look like it's going to happen anytime soon.
If people want to learn more about this issue, about the bills introduced to Congress, the nursing shortage, are there resources that they can look at?
I follow this very closely because we represent over 100 hospitals across the United States. So on my website at shusterman.com, there is a tab that they can click for nurses, and under that tab is specifically if they want to look at the bills in Congress, we connect to the actual text of the bill. If they want to read articles and studies about the nurse shortage, because nobody has to take my word for it. They can read the studies that different universities and government agencies have done about this. It's all there.
Comprehensive immigration reform.
Okay.
Do you see that happening anytime soon?
Definitely not in 2010. I mean, I have talked to Congressman Luis Gutierrez from Illinois, who introduced the bill, and I've read the bill. I mean, it's several hundred pages long, and I would say I'm 99% in agreement with the provisions in the bill. A lot of them are long overdue in my view. But what they've decided is it's much harder to get a bill through the Senate because of the filibuster and so on, then the House of Representatives. So they said his bill will not be considered until the Senate acts. And at this moment, we're waiting for Senator Schumer from New York, who's a Democrat, and Senator Graham from South Carolina, who's a Republican, to introduce sort of a middle-of-the-road, bipartisan immigration bill.